Well, so it seems that Pope got in somewhat of a trouble for saying that the hell does not exist. I know he was speaking privately with some people, and I think the church came out, the Catholic Church came out and retracted what he meant to say. But I mean, I think he did say that hell does not exist. And of course, a lot of the Christians went going after him a little bit. Well, a lot, I think, because hell is a big part of Christianity. And I think I made a video about it a few months ago about how if hell is such a big deal, then how come there really isn't, like, at least to me, there isn't a definition or a belief of hell that is satisfying. You know, it's still a mystery to me. In fact, one of the arguments that I make is if hell was so important, then why is it that Paul, throughout his epistles, he never mentions the word hell once? And why is it that the Greek word that's been translated as hell is not just one word, it's three different words? So, I mean, it is tough to have an understanding of it. But what is equally difficult to have an understanding of is heaven as well. When I was growing up, heaven was a place you go afterwards, white clouds, and we'll have fun there and things like that. But there's no giving of marriage or having families and things. And I always think like, wow, heaven either must be a boring place or heaven is such a blissful place that even having families, having children, and the joys of life, you know, sex and whatnot, is not comparable to how much fun or how wonderful it's going to be in heaven. All right. It doesn't make that much sense to me. Yeah, there is that belief of heaven, but still, the theology of heaven is still, to me, somewhat shaky. So, or maybe it's not as important as we make it to be. So one of the last words Jesus said, and one of them, I think is the second thing he said on the cross, was to the thief or murderers that was being crucified next to him, that said, that was basically saying, remember me when you get to, you know, when you're with God. And Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. Now, he didn't say heaven. He used the word paradise. And the word paradise is used only 3 times. The Greek word for paradise is only used 3 times in the New Testament. Once when Jesus said it. Another time, I think Paul talks about it in 1 Corinthians when he's talking about, I think most likely himself, who was stoned to death and went to paradise and saw how wonderful it was. In fact, he said that the paradise was so wonderful in a way that it was undescribable with human words. Kind of different than what a lot of people who have these experiences of going to heaven and coming back, and they have a lot of description. There was this one lady in Korea who died for a while and came back to life, and he said she went to heaven, and she said she saw no pastors there. that is so cool. I don't know if they'll make a movie out of her dream of her visiting heaven, I say. But Jesus used the word paradise. Paul used the word paradise. And once in, I think, Revelation, the word paradise is used one more time, where I think the writer of Revelation is trying to encourage people to not give up on their faith in Jesus Christ. They say if you hold on to the end, your name will be in paradise. You'll get to experience paradise. So what is paradise? Well, how is it different than heaven? And looking into it, I mean, there are people that study this thing inside out. So I hope people who are smart would discuss it a little bit more in detail, because it's still kind of a mystery to me. Because when the Bible talks about heaven, you're talking about the universe, right? The expanse and the universe, and God created the heavens and the earth. Earth is where humans dwell. Everything else, all the other stuff that God had to create in order for earth to survive, those called the heavens. And we all know, taught that heaven is a place where God dwells. Kingdom of heaven is the rule of God or Jesus Christ here on earth in our lives. Yeah. What else is heaven or heaven besides that? Paradise, on the other hand, seems to be more like a specific place where we will go after we die here on earth. Right? So we should actually call it paradise instead of saying heaven, because we get kind of confused. So what is What is paradise? Well, you look up the Greek word and the definition. There's 4 of them, 5 of them. And one of them just means heaven. But it says, number 1 definition is, it says, among the Persians, a grand enclosure or preserve, hunting ground. All right, hunting ground. It's a park, shady and well-watered, in which wild animals were kept for the hunt. It's a hunting ground. It was enclosed by walls and furnished with towers for the hunters. So paradise is a hunting ground. All right. Or second definition, a garden, pleasure ground. That sounds better. Grove, a park. Third definition, from the Jewish perspective, it says it's the part of Hades. Right, because remember in the Old Testament, in the Jews of the Old Testament, they don't really believe. A lot of them don't believe in the afterlife. They believe in Sheol, which just means grave. There's no life in there. It might not even be a place. So a lot of Jews don't even believe in the afterlife. But if you did, you believe in Hades or Sheol, and paradise was part of Hades, which was thought by the later Jews to be the abode of the souls of pious until the resurrection. But some understand this to be a heavenly paradise. So it's like, I think this is where the idea of purgatory comes, right? And it's a temporary place until new heavens and new earth is established, until the resurrection of our bodies, right? Or some understand this to be a heavenly paradise, but it's just a paradise. Hunting ground or pleasure ground, a garden, a park. All right, for Christians, in the early Christians, it says it's the upper regions of the heavens, because they believe in levels of heavens. That's what it's plural, heavens. And I think some believe third heaven is the highest the humans could go. Seventh heaven is where God dwells and whatnot. All right, anyway, the upper regions of heavens, according to the early church fathers, the paradise in which our first parents dwelt before the fall still existed. So it's like Adam and Eve were in this place called paradise, the Garden of Eden, right? That's the idea, is the garden. Neither on the earth or in the heavens, but above and beyond the world. So it's not part of this world. And even then, it seems like it's a place you hang out, a paradise to hang out for a while, until new heavens and new earth is established, and then we get to be resurrected here on the new earth kind of idea. So, I mean, I don't know what to make out of it, but it seems like the idea from the Christian perspective, from the early church fathers, is that it is a paradise is a place like Garden of Eden. It's a garden. It's a park. Right? I'm not too sure if it's going to be a hunting ground, because it's a place where the lions and the rabbits are able to get along and have fun together. All right, so it's a paradise. It's a wonderful place. It's like going to Hawaii, where the weather's perfect, and there's a lot of trees and a lot of animals that are not attacking you. All right, and where there's no pain, and where there is no evil going on. Right? I mean, if you really think about this earth that we live in right now, if we could 100% trust one another, and people were good. All right, I'm not saying they have to be perfect, but they were good. They're not going to steal things from you or rob you or kill you, kind of a thing, right? If people were to just not do that, Earth is a great place, don't you think? Right? It would be paradise. So maybe we'll go back to Garden of Eden or whatever. Anyway, I remember taking a class in seminary, and the teacher basically said is that, what he believed was we are going to be in paradise with Christ right away. All right, we're going to be in paradise in the garden, and that we're going to be, when the new heavens and new earth is established, then we're going to come and be back on earth, but it'll be fresh, it'll be new, different. Okay, and he believed the earth is going to get bigger. I don't know. All right, because there'll be so many people. If you include all the people in the world that has ever lived on earth, then earth will be bigger. Needs to be. I don't know. See what I'm saying? It is difficult. That's all I'm saying. It is very, very difficult. But since Paul doesn't really talk about hell, and he only mentions the word paradise once, right? Maybe heaven and earth is not, heaven and hell is not as important as we make it to be. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And that what we ought to be more focused upon is the power of the Spirit, the power of the resurrection that's in us, for us to live our daily lives with a smile, being good to one another, love one another, you know, be a good father, good dad, husband, wives, and share the gospel with people, living a life. Maybe that's more important, right? But anyways, if you have worked out your theology on heaven and hell, I would like to know what you believe it is. And yeah, it'll be fun. And if you like this video, please like it, share it with your friends. And hope you do like these videos that I'm making. I'm thinking about making a lot more. All right. Anyway, God bless. I'll see you next time.